Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pharmacy IR podcast. My name is Devin Olden, and I'm reporting from the Drug Information Center, where we discuss unique pharmacy careers. And today, we have a very special guest who goes by the name of Dr. Melissa Turner. How you doing today, Dr. Turner?
I'm doing great, Devin. Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's great to have you. And today, Dr. Turner will be discussing what pharmacogenomics testing is and her company, Tarheel PGx. Could you please tell us more about that, Dr. Turner?
Yes, so pharmacogenomics is the study of how a person's DNA or genetics affects their response to medications. And I founded Tarheel PGx Consulting in 2021. I actually started the process of learning about pharmacogenomics in April of 2021. And then I spent several months building the business and officially launched and went public on September 20th. And it's hard to believe, but we're coming up on almost a year. So I help people get a pharmacogenomics test so that we can know what medications work best for them based on their genetics, so that they don't have to try medications that either may not work for them or could cause them harm.
Hey, congratulations for
Thank
the anniversary
you.
coming up.
Yes.
Yes. So
Time flies when you're having fun.
definitely. So could you please explain the similarities and differences in the PGx roles, please?
Okay. So pharmacogenomics is a science that has been around for about 15 to 20 years. But as far as it being a mainstream testing option that patients can have access to, has really started in the last 3 to 5 years. But there are so many different areas where you can use pharmacogenomics, not just in the business to consumer setting, which is what I'm doing, but you can have pharmacists that use PGx testing in a doctor's office, whether that's a primary care clinic or a specialty clinic like cardiology or a psychiatry clinic. You can have pharmacists using PGx in an academic institution like Campbell, where we're teaching students about PGx. Or you can have pharmacists in hospital settings or the military or so many other areas, research, that you can use pharmacogenomics. But no matter where you are, all of us, our main goal is to provide precision medicine to our patients. And it's all about them at the end of the day. Whether you're using PGx or not, we are here to help our patients feel better. And by using this tool, we can help our patients get on the right medication sooner, hoping with the end goal to save them time and money so that they're not taking medications that won't work or could cause them harm and adverse effects, put them in the hospital. There's even been cases where people have lost their life because they were given the wrong medication. And had we done this simple genetic test, we would have known ahead of time. So why not use it? So there's so many different areas. You don't have to do it just like I'm doing, but there's a world of possibilities out there as a PGx pharmacist.
It sounds really lucrative.
Yes,
Really.
yes, it is.
So why don't you think PGx is as mainstream as it should be? Because my first time hearing about it was whenever you taught it for our class.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Well, I do think that the lack of education for patients, people in the general public, that's one of the challenges, is that they've never heard of it. They don't know what it is. They don't understand its value and how it can help them. And then, like you said, as far as medical providers, whether we're pharmacists or doctors or nurses or PAs, there just hasn't been a consistency, I guess, in the education. So I went to Campbell for pharmacy school here, started in 2009, graduated in 2013. PGx was not a course that was offered then. It wasn't there. Yes, we learned about drugs. Yes, we learned about CYP enzymes and we learned some genetics. But as far as tying it all in together, that wasn't a thing back then. And it is now. However, I have seen that pharmacy schools across the country, because I've talked to pharmacists who have graduated or in pharmacy school, and I always ask them, how do you learn about PGx? What was that experience like for you? And every single one of them tell me different. So pharmacy schools have to have PGx in some way now, but there's no set guidelines on what that looks like. So it's different. And then for providers, they don't have that education as part of their curriculum for PGx as well. So they've never heard of it. So they don't understand of it, most doctors. And then especially providers who graduated maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago when they were on rotations, pharmacists were not a part of the care team like we are now when we're on our P4 rotations. And when the providers and doctors are on their rotations, pharmacists are there. And so they know what knowledge and what value we bring. But pharmacists or providers who didn't have that opportunity to work with pharmacists, they don't understand how much we know and how much we can help them. So we're not here to tell them, hey, you're doing everything wrong and I'm going to come in and fix it. No, let's use this. Let's work together. So I think that's probably why it's been so slow to become standard of care. And I know that's definitely going to change because people like myself were out here advocating for it. So things have definitely changed and gotten better, but we still have a ways to go. But just because people don't know about it isn't a reason to not do it. So that's why I'm here.
Definitely. I even think as of now, like possibly over the past few years, that pharmacists have been more vocal, saying that I am more valuable and I do provide this.
Yes.
And I don't believe that's been shown like in previous years. Like they've kind of just been doing their own thing, just kind of on the side.
Right.
So I definitely appreciate you for putting forth like the effort of saying, hey, I provide this value by offering X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So definitely, I really do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think, at least for me, when I was in pharmacy school, well, going in, my whole goal was to be a pharmacist at an independent pharmacy. That was what I was going to do. Didn't really even look at anything else. I was never going to work retail. No, I'm going to work in an independent pharmacy because that's where my experience was. And I loved it. We closed at 6 or 6:30 every day. You worked a half day on Saturday, always closed on Sundays and holidays. I was like, yes, that's great. And it was slow and it was easy and I loved it. But then you come to graduation and you're like, oh no, where are all the independent pharmacies? And I can think of a dozen just in this area, Lillington, Dunn, where a dozen or so independents have been closed. They didn't make it or they got bought out. So I quickly realized that I was going to have to do something else. So I went to work for a retail chain. And it was definitely an experience and I was not prepared and I didn't get the chance to use the knowledge that I have. I felt for those 7.5 years that I was there that I was just dispensing, just pushing pills out as fast as I could, trying to meet these deadlines and all these metrics. And it was a lot. And I am now beginning to see the last few years a shift into where pharmacists are stepping up and saying, I can do more than push pills out the door. I can do more than, be a dispenser of medications. And we have knowledge, we have value. And for so long, we've just been behind the counter and we've been scared. I know I was scared to do this and it's not easy. There are some days where it's really hard and I'm down but I know that this is what I've been called to do, is to help people. And we don't teach entrepreneurship in pharmacy school. So that's something that I had to figure out on my own. And it's time for pharmacists to advocate for themselves and say, you know what? I have this knowledge. I want to be able to help people. And I'm going to make that opportunity for me to be able to do that. If someone's not going to give that to me, I have to go out there and do it for myself.
I completely understand that. It sounded like you didn't feel valued whenever you did work for the more commercial pharmacy. So
definitely.
Yeah. So what gave you the courage to take this step? Because some practitioners just kind of stick it out for the next 20 or so years, get the retirement and kind of keep it moving. Yeah. But what made you want to move on and try something different?
So I just got to the point where I realized I couldn't continue doing what I was doing, that the stress and the environment that I was working in was mentally and physically damaging to me. And like I said, I had never worked in retail, so I was not prepared for what I was supposed to do. I had a little bit of training for like a week or two before I was actually on my own, as far as like learning the computer system and what I'm supposed to do. But as the years went on, the demands on me as a pharmacist increased, but the support from the company did not match that. And we were constantly having our support hours cut. And I tried the best I could for years and years. And I would go in early and I would stay late. And I know that was my choice. I didn't have to do that, but I just couldn't not do it.
Yeah.
Knowing that if I just go in 30 minutes early, get QT cleared, or, try to get us out of the red because we closed the day before behind, like, let me just do this.
Yeah.
And there were many days where I didn't use the bathroom. I didn't eat lunch. I didn't eat dinner. When we first opened the store, we were open 8 to 10. So those were 14-hour days. And by the time I got home, it was 10:30, 11 o'clock. And it was just too much. Eventually, we did cut our opening hours back a little bit, but still it was 12, 13-hour days. And it was just too much for me. And then I had some things happen in my personal life where my sister was murdered by another family member. I went into work early and it was a Friday, and I got the call, and that just changed everything for me. Yeah. And I realized that my family was most important, and that time is precious, and God doesn't promise us tomorrow. And I could give and give and give to this company. And dealing with her loss was very hard for me. And I took a week off, and then I went right back to work. And I was never offered the opportunity, or no one even mentioned, hey, you can take a leave of absence if you're not ready to come back.
Right.
And I feel like large part of that was because it was in December, so right before Christmas and the holidays. So,
crunch time.
If I'm, the new year is coming, new insurances, if you've worked in retail, you know what the beginning of the new year is like. So it's very crazy and hectic. And, right at the end of the year, people are trying to get all their prescriptions before their new deductibles or new copays take into effect for the new year. So it's just chaos. And I feel like maybe they didn't want me to leave. They didn't want me to be out any longer than I already was. And because then they'd have to find somebody to replace me. But it was a struggle. The way patients, talked to us and treated us, there were many times. I mean, I can go into the store now and show you where I sat on the floor and cried because of the way that, I was treated by other patients, the way doctors talked to me. And it was a lot. Yeah. And then almost 2 years to the day later, my dad died. Where was I when I found that out? At CVS again. So I just realized that I couldn't keep going, and I was tired of missing out on things with my family, birthdays, holidays, vacations, things like that. And even when I wanted to take a vacation or get a day off, you have to ask 6 weeks in advance and hope that you get it. And if not, and it's something you really want to attend or be at, well, can my partner pharmacist, can we switch? Can we work something out? And so I just got to the point where I realized the system is not going to change. It's me that has to change. I have to do this. And so I found another pharmacist. Her name is Dr. Jamie Wilkie, and I consider her a wonderful mentor and a friend now. And I got introduced to her last year at the beginning of the year. And she had the similar situation, worked at Walgreens for 10 years. She had 4 young boys. She was tired of missing out on time with her family. Mm. And so she started her own business in pharmacogenomics. She did hers a little bit differently. She was working with providers in their offices. And she created an academy to help other pharmacists like herself to be able to create their own career. because in pharmacy school, you can get your PharmD, but you can also get an MBA.
Right.
Well, when I was in school, I was like, I'll never need that. I'm not going to start my own pharmacy. So I didn't do that. So I didn't have those skills. I didn't have that knowledge. But through her academy, I was able to learn how to create my own business, how to work with labs, how to work with doctors' offices, how to be an entrepreneur. And if it wasn't for her and her academy and what she created and the other pharmacists who were doing it alongside me, that's what gave me the courage to do this, to know that what's I'm doing now is not working and I want something different. So I'm going to go and create that something different for myself. So with her and the academy and the other pharmacists that I've met across the country that are doing this as well, I have the courage to continue doing this, to get up and say, I want to make a difference in the world.
That was going to be my next question. That was wonderful. That was amazing. Showed a lot of courage.
Thank you.
And diligence, definitely, and persistence to fight through everything that probably no one knew about, like those certain battles.
Yeah.
And I guess my next question is, I'm a pharmacy student, and let's say I wanted to go into pharmacogenomics testing. How would I go about doing that? Because you said you spoke to Dr. Wilkie's?
Dr. Wilkie, yep.
Right. So how would I go about following your steps?
Well, you can definitely join the academy and learn the things that she has taught us. So it's the PGx Consulting Confidence Academy. And like I said, we teach you how to work with labs, how to reach out to them, how to work with a prescriber's office, and how to, if you don't want to do a prescriber's office, how do you do that? Like I'm doing, what are the other avenues? And it's a really great place to meet other people who are doing what you want to do. And there's over 200 of us in the group right now. And we're all over the country. We have someone in Puerto Rico and the UK. So none of us are doing it exactly the same. So we can learn from each other and we can share our struggles so that other people don't have to go through those same things. But if you want to do pharmacogenomics, we can certainly sit down. I love talking to pharmacy students. I love talking to other healthcare providers about pharmacogenomics and just meeting with other people and helping them learn about PGx and how to do it. There's really no limit to what you can do with PGx, but I think the Academy is a wonderful place to start. There are master's programs and fellowships that you can do and residencies that you can do in PGx, but I didn't do any of those. I did get a certification just because I didn't have the PGx knowledge because it wasn't a course in pharmacy school for me. So that helped brush up my knowledge, but you already have that now. That's something you know. So you don't have to do that if you don't want to. But you can create your own business, or you can work in a provider's office, or you can work with the military. Just so many different avenues.
I think that would be nice for them to like implement that. Definitely like maybe fourth year saying, if you're interested in this, come do a rotation.
Yeah.
And approximately like how long is the program for the certification?
It depends on the program. There's a lot of companies that offer certification. I did mine through RX Genomics, which is a lab that does PGx testing. And that was a self-paced course. The Mayo Clinic offers PGx. There's PGx 101. For that one, I know there's some background homework that you do, and then there's a live portion, usually one weekend a month or on a Saturday. And I think ASHP also offers one as well if you wanted more in-depth knowledge.
Gotcha. And stepping into your role now, what does your day-to-day look like? And does it all, there's a part B.
Yes.
What does your day-to-day look like? Like, is there a healthy work-life balance?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Okay. I always laugh when people ask me that question because every day is different. So today I'm here doing this podcast interview, which I'm very grateful for, and thank you for having me. And then this afternoon, I'm going to go to a local high school and speak to an AP biology class about what I do. And I was really excited about that opportunity as well, to talk to students about what is possible for a pharmacist, what is possible for a woman in science to be able to do. So some days I have initial consultations, some days I have review consultations. When I get a patient's results back, I spend sometimes 30 minutes to an hour, maybe more, looking at their results based on how does that affect their current medications, past medications, future medications. I talk with other pharmacists around the country about what I do. I am on the NC-PDP Precision Medicine Subcommittee, so that's a meeting that I have. I'm a part of the Women in Network Andrew chapter. We meet once a week on Tuesdays. So every day is different. Some days I'm going to provider offices, telling them about what I do. It's always different. But that's what I love about it is I don't really know what each day is going to have. And it's not a monotonous job by any means. And some days I am writing articles. I wrote an article for the RX Influencer magazine. I'm working with some other pharmacists in the academy to create a continuing education for pharmacists in PGx. So it's always different, but that's what I love about it. And as far as the work-life balance, that was one of the things that really drove me to leave the retail world is that I get to choose my schedule. I get to choose what time I start seeing patients and stop seeing patients. Like last week on Monday, I saw it was going to be really nice on Friday, sunny and warm. And I told my husband, I was like, you know what? I'm taking Friday off and, we're going to go to the lake for the day. We're going to go do some fishing. He was like, yep, that sounds good. Nice. So I put myself out of office on Friday. So would I've ever been able to do that at CVS? No, I would have had to ask that day off weeks in advance and hope that I got it. It's definitely a wonderful thing to be able to choose when I get to work and when I can stop working. I get to go to church every Sunday, and I didn't have that opportunity before where I worked every other weekend. I get to go to church on Wednesday nights, which I love doing. Nice. And I co-lead a Bible study with another friend. And when I was in retail, I worked every other Wednesday night. I get to have the holidays with my family. I took a week off at Christmas last year. I have not had a week off or time at Christmas since undergrad or maybe pharmacy school. I think we had December off. That was wonderful. I got to go to Christmas Eve service, Christmas with both my family and my husband's family. You get to stay and open presents and you don't feel rushed. And it was wonderful. So it's definitely been a blessing. I get to spend time with my husband. We get to have lunch and dinner almost every single day. I didn't have that before. A lot of days I miss meals. Time with my dogs. I love my dogs and I get to go outside. Something else I was not able to do in retail. You weren't allowed to leave the building during your shift. So it's wonderful. So yes, the balance is definitely there. I will say, however, when you are an entrepreneur, when you're growing your own business, all of that's on you. So it is a lot of work. But the rewards are so great that I wouldn't trade this for anything. Somebody asked me the other day, do you miss where you were before? I was like, no, not you. There's not enough money or anything in the world that would make me go back to doing what I was doing.
It sounds like you have peace now.
I am. And then even a few months after I left, my friends, my family, my husband was like, I can really tell a difference. My husband said, it's nice to have my wife back. And I was like, it's nice to be back. And he was like, I'm so sorry, that I wanted you to stay because we didn't know what the future was going to hold. I'd never started my own business and I was, figuring this out by myself and doing the best I could. And he was like, I now see how much that affected you and what you're like now. And I'm so glad that you made this decision and that you got out of that situation. And now you're here and you're happy and everyone's just glad to have the real Melissa back, I guess. So Definitely. It's good to be back.
So what are some of the challenges of being an entrepreneur, especially in pharmacy?
I would definitely say that this is uncharted territory for the most part. Most pharmacists aren't taught how to do this. So that is definitely a challenge. As I mentioned before, the lack of education for the general public, for pharmacists, for providers, not really knowing what this is and how it can help them. So that's been a big hurdle to overcome, is educating, trying to get people to understand the value of it. I think that would probably be the biggest thing. And because I am doing the business to consumer model, really putting myself out there. I do have a Facebook page and an Instagram page for my business. I do have a website and a YouTube channel. So I have videos on there where I got my test results back and I talk about what the results mean, with the goal of helping people understand what this is. Because they're like, I've never heard of this. Why do I need this?
Yeah,
so
what does this mean?
I have some of those. I also have patient interviews that I've done so that people can see what the experience was for other people and what they got out of it.
Gotcha. And what type of students or new grads do you think would be best for this type of position?
I would say if you're a pharmacist who really wants to help people and make an impact, this is a wonderful field to be in. And if you love to learn, this is also a wonderful place to be, because the science and the trials, the evidence continues to grow. So you always have to be ready to read and learn, because guidelines will change and new ones will come out. So if you're not willing to always be reading and learning, then this probably won't work for you. But if you like to help people and see a difference that this one tool, PGx, can make, then this is a wonderful opportunity.
And last question, where can you see Tarheel PGx in the next 5-10 years? Talk to me.
Okay. Well, right now I'm working on adding a new service called Nutrigenomics, which is very similar. It's looking at your genetics and what nutrients you may need, because there are vitamins and minerals out there that you may be able to absorb better than others. What is your energy and fitness like, such as, are you more prone to muscle soreness, fatigue, or injury due to your genetics? Estrogen metabolism, caffeine metabolism. There's 54 different traits that the report looks at. So that's something I'm in the test phase. I'm working with a couple beta patients before I launch that to the public. As pharmacists in North Carolina, we can now provide, with the training which I have completed, hormonal contraception. So that is something I want to add as well. But I'm still figuring out how to do that, because that is something that would have to be in person, because we do have to take their blood pressure in order to be able to do that. So that's kind of hard to do over Zoom. And that's how I do my business now, is all my consultations are over Zoom. So I don't have a physical place. So maybe in the next few years, having a location where people can come to, where they can do the testing in person, especially if they're not Zoom or computer savvy, I can help them there. There's so many different things that pharmacists can do. So I don't really know what the next few years hold, but I know that I want to continue to help people. I love teaching and educating. So being a part of either a pharmacy PGx class or a PGx elective, being a preceptor, all those things are things that are on my bucket list.
Yeah, we would love to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Dr. Turner, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hope to have you on again.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for just being a blessing.
Oh.
Hey, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you.